Let's slide over to the NFC. The two divisions that really interest me are the NFC North and the NFC West. So let's start NFC North. The Vikings are plus 300. Chad, explain to our audience what that means.
Basically means that it's 3-1. So plus 300 is you bet $100 on the Vikings to win the NFC North. You get back $300.
I think it's the best division bet in the league. So the Packers are minus 170. They have no number one receiver or number two, highly reliant on Aaron Rodgers, who has a history of trust issues, not only with receivers, but family, with the medical community. That's Aaron's personality. Minnesota gets every go either way game that's tough at home, except Buffalo. They have an offensive coach. Kirk Cousins got an extension. He'll feel supported. I think they elevated their defense too, and they had a weird number of close losses last year, including 2 overtime losses. So I'm a believer when teams win too many close games, you never get that break the following year. When you lose seemingly every close game, you win them the following year. They won 8 games last year. I have them winning 13 this year, and they also get a break because they get Green Bay week 1. So Aaron's going to be working in all these new receivers, won't play much in the preseason. Minnesota, meanwhile, has a new head coach, and Green Bay is going to kind of guess on what offense they're going to see. I think they have the element of surprise advantage. Also, Cousins, Thielen, Dalvin, the tight ends, they've worked together. They have a new system. They've worked together. Aaron's got he doesn't know if he has Bakhtiari or his tight end, both torn ACLs. He's working in rookie wide receivers. My favorite bet of the year in week 1 is Minnesota. I think plus 300. I think it's really worth your time.
This is an interesting one. The NFC North to me is fascinating because I think the Vikings are an interesting bet at plus 300 for all the things that you just said. The flip side, and the reason why I'm not rushing to bet it, is because we can say these things about the Vikings every year. The difference being Kevin O'Connell, the new head coach, offensive minded, like you said. Kirk Cousins, what is he? Is he the guy who can get you closer in games that don't mean anything? Or is he the guy that somehow manages to lose games by a very close margin that mean a lot? That's consistently what he's been. He is not a quarterback who overperforms. He is not a quarterback who has 13-win seasons. He's essentially a 500 quarterback in a variety of circumstances in many, many NFL seasons. He is what he's going to be. So you kind of are banking on the fact that you think Kevin O'Connell is going to be able to do things with Kirk Cousins that nobody in Kirk Cousins' career has been able to do when they were his head coach. I will say this. I love the Detroit Lions over 6.5. I think they are a fascinating team. I like the playmakers they have. Jared Goff gets a bad rap. Jared Goff did take the Rams to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff did have a transcendent, amazing performance in one of the best games in NFL history, going toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes when he was on the Rams. He's got a great running back. He's got weapons on the edges. He's got a really good offensive line. And I'm a huge Dan Campbell fan. He's the antithesis of what you would expect someone like me would be a fan of. I love the emotion. I love the passion. I love that he is completely unself-aware of what the Lions are, and he's just decided to go for it, and he's going to own everything that is bad about the Lions and say, we're going to be better. Lions over 6.5.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. The other thing,
don't give me that look. Don't give me that look.
Because the other schedule is tough. The other thing is, you have their schedule? Look their schedule up right now, Millman. Let's right now.
While I'm doing that, I'm going to say the other thing is that the Bears under 6.5.
Okay, so let's go to the Lions schedule right now. Let's look at this Lions schedule.
All right.
Okay, so when is okay? You just say win or loss.
Okay.
Eagles at the Lions.
Eagles at the Lions, week 1?
Yeah.
That's a win. I'll tell you why. And
I don't want to hear why. I just want to stack them up.
Hold on. You want to talk about best bets? That's going to be a best bet. That is 100%. Lions, week 1 against the Eagles in Detroit. Give me the Lions as underdogs. I take the Lions on the money line. Go.
That's the best bet in Pontiac. That's best bet what? What do you mean best bet of what?
Meaning what? Like if you're telling me right now, week 1, I've got the Lions plus 4.5 at home against the Eagles. I'm taking the Lions plus 4.5, and I will probably sprinkle a little bit on the Lions to win outright. Because if you're going to bet a team like that in any point in the season, it's week 1.
Okay. Commanders at the Lions, you'd give that a W, I imagine.
Yes.
Lions at the Vikings, loss.
Yes.
Seahawks at the Lions, that's a W.
Yep. That's 3.
Lions at the Patriots.
Give it a loss.
Lions at the Cowboys.
Probably a loss.
Dolphins at the Lions.
I'm going to say at that point in the season, I'll give it a W.
Oh, boy. Okay. Packers at the Lions.
That's always a tricky spot for the Packers. I'll say an L right now, but if I'm only at 6 wins at the end of the year, I'm moving that to a W.
Lions at the Bears.
W.
You think the Lions will beat Chicago in Chicago?
The Bears, if there was an alt line on the Bears under 4.5, I would take it.
Okay. Lions at the Giants, you're going to give that a W.
Yeah, I would give that a W.
Lions. Okay, so then the Jaguars at the Lions, December 4th, there's your 7th win. So there's your and they also have to go to the Jets and the Panthers. Yeah, I mean, you're just giving them every break. But why
can't I? Even if they didn't get every break. So let's say that I thought against every team on the schedule that you just mentioned that was 500 or worse, and I believe this team can be on a level like that, I would give them the win against the Jets. I would give them the win against the Panthers. So now all of a sudden I'm at 9. Let's say they don't get the breaks. Let's say they don't get the breaks on the road against the Bears. Let's say they don't get the breaks on the road against the Giants. I'm still at 7 wins. And I think they'll probably beat the Packers at home.
Oh, there's a lot of favorable. I think the longer you have a mediocre coach, the more you realize he's a mediocre coach. I think by like week 8 to 10, we're all going to be going like, Dan Campbell's likable, but bad.
Yeah, okay. But if this team wins in week 1, that carries over for 3 weeks of goodwill, and they will believe. And look, this team last year, 3-13-1, 11-6 against the spread. The only team in the modern era since 1990 to have 3 or fewer losses and that many wins against the spread. They battle. They bite your kneecaps.
Finally, NFC West. The wise guys think it's Rams, Niners, Cardinals, Seahawks. I'd probably go Rams, Cardinals, Niners, Seahawks. So you bet 100, you can win 200 with the Niners. What's their over-under and where are you at on them with Trey Lance? I think they feel like a 9-win team.
Yeah, I think it's about 9. I think their total, I got to look at it right now. I think their season win total is probably 9.5.
That feels like an under to me. And by the way, 9-8 may get you into the playoffs in the NFC. AFC, it's not, but in the NFC, it might.
So they're at about 10 games. And I think that
I'm under.
So under is right. I'm not a buyer on the Cardinals, to be honest. Cliff Kingsbury has just too often, too consistently in his career fallen apart in the second half of the year. And I wish I could say that it's not going to happen this year, but it tends to always happen. Plus, they're going to be without DeAndre Hopkins in the early part of the year. You don't know how healthy they're going to be. Kyler Murray, while he's amazing, wait till Call of Duty, the new version of Call of Duty comes out, and all of a sudden he's doing that instead of watching more film. And then all of a sudden you see his stats drop. So I'm not a buyer on the Cardinals.
Dante Whitner had a good point, the 49er safety and the Bills safety. He was on my show. He's a broadcaster now in the Bay Area. He had a really good point on Kyler Murray. He said, when you're an instinctive player over a prep monster, you take more hits over the course of a year. And he goes, I think Kyler gets worn down. He said, Breeze was smaller, but Breeze audibles out of that. like the guys that are prep monsters and pre-snap guys, they don't take as many hits. But the guys that, kind of rely on instincts, Brett Favre, Michael Vick, Big Ben, you get to an end of a year, you've had a lot of extra shots. And he said, I think Kyler is worn down by the end of these years. And because I asked him about the prep and the amendment or addendum in the contract. And Dante said, what it tells me is he should do more prep simply because he take fewer hits. The guys that really study, they just get out of bad plays. It's not always audibling into a great play. It's audibling out of a free safety blitz and getting the ball out and not taking that seventh shot to your left shoulder. Those things add. Those are car collisions every time you get popped. And he's a small athlete to begin with. So I don't think it's necessarily Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's got a small quarterback who gets whacked. And I think the offense is less dynamic as the season progresses.
I think it's both things because Cliff Kingsbury had Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech, and he was still terrible when it got to the second half of the year. Bettors know to fade Cliff Kingsbury the deeper into the season it goes.